Sup shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Lloyd Khan the Mystic Monk titled Journey. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on YouTube. Now, it should be worth noting this track is over 7 minutes long. I usually only review the first 7 minutes of tracks that I review. That's something that's consistent across the platforms that I review music through. So we're going to listen through the first 7 minutes from start till finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's go. Very dramatic, intense introduction for sure, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Great groove on those drums there. With drums from Ronald Pockets Ford, keyboards, guitars, and sax from Lloyd Khan, guitar, Ray Tilkins, violin, Rick Schmidt, and trombone soloist Terry Waters, with horn section GNC horns, guitarist to suit. Great groove. Instantiated here. I assume this is probably going to be an instrument. Not that I mind particularly, it does sound like a journey. Great finesse with the drum fills. Interesting use of synthesizers, very kind of mysterious. Interesting jazz extensions on the guitars. It's great to have the strings coming here for a little bit of extra development. Some tasty overdriven lead licks. Really fascinating artwork. It's as well, like with the with the dogs and everything like that. It's interesting stuff. The sharpness and trepidation to the voicing there. We're really just kind of riffing on those high strings being the lead vocal point here, right? Some sensational soloing there. At the halfway mark now, it's kind of wild. That's the length of the track already, you know? Interesting blues phrasings there. So this is basically just kind of a mashup of string sections, brass, guitars, drums, keys, and all that coming together to just form a really sort of happy family of different tones and melodic passages. Coming together in a big old melting pot, basically. Almost Vi-ish in the way we're exploring the fretboard up in our higher range. And just the sax is on the side now, the double tracking of that is wonderful. I feel like I'm going through space, right? I mean, like, it's long. It's a long track, if I'm honest. I think it's something you kind of get lost in, and you sit there and you let it caress your eardrums for a bit. And it's a great exploration of their abilities as musicians, as technicians, you know? And that's us. 7 minutes, as we have the limit of the 7 minutes per track. With these reviews that I do throughout the platforms, it's a good track. It's solid. I would listen to the rest, I am tempted, but I must stick to the rules I put in place. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from Lloyd 𝐒𝐤𝐚, titled Journey. What do I think this track is about? I think it's about a big adventure you're going on with your mates who are playing different instruments and interacting with you in a way which makes it a much more fun experience. It's great to have the culmination in this long form factor track, the combination of the guitars, the bass, the drums, the synths, the saxes, and the trombone solo, the strings. There is so much going on here to appreciate. It's such an illustriously layered track. It's through composed. It is instrumental, so I can't really take much more from the story apart from what I'm imagining, and part of the beauty of an instrumental is that you can not only imagine interpretation of what it's about, no one can really tell you you're wrong, but also the wonder of it is that it gives you so much room to do a lot of really fun stuff with the individual ingredients within it. So if I kind of look at the various instruments we had, the drums had fantastic 8th and 16th note grooves going on with a mixture of cymbal accents there, wonderful transitional fills. We were traditionally keeping the groove going forward though. We never really stopped to take too much attention to ourselves, aside from an occasional drum solo where we had fills partaking the focal point of the composition for that particular point in time. The drums are thoroughly supportive, as well as the bass line, where predominantly we're in that lower range there, that lower register, swinging around with those root notes, making sure that the listener knows where they're going and where they're headed, supporting, filling in that resonance there in the subs, and basically giving us a sense of size and weight and scope to this track. I think the bass is relatively understated within this. I think that was a smart decision. You got to have an equilibrium between some of the more sort of technical bits and some of the more sort of like parts that need to just simply be strong and stable. And we had that with the drums and the bass, even though there's a lot of technicality to the performance on the sticks, you know. But we had the guitars. There were some really lovely concepts there, not only with some of the chords, the harmonies that we played there, but also the lead phrasings with the various overdriven and distorted settings we had there, and dispersed between solo parts from other instruments, almost like it's different voices having a conversation. I think that was great. You know, I don't think we could have really done that any differently, particularly because the guitar, when it came in, was so succinct with its phrasing there. We really did not overstep the boundaries. It didn't become an ego project there. We clearly had understanding music theory and composition as per the rest of the musicians within this, you know, especially the trombone player, where they were thoroughly within the zone of their own scale and modes there. They understood how to phrase and diligently articulate themselves within everything else. Again, the melting pot that we had within this track Journey. But it's also, you know, the guitar was eloquent and mature sounding, but had a bit of spark and zazz to it that stood out to me. I really appreciated some of those motifs. It really did sound like a big sort of like power metal kind of, except obviously not power metal. The jazzy neo-soul fusions, there were some of those extensions there were lovely. And it was great fun. It was almost progressive. I think that, again, the saxophones, when they came in on the sides, the brass parts as well were nice and strong, and we had a great mid-range crispness and resonance there that was really pretty to listen to. In addition to that, obviously the trombone solo, when that came in, was fitting for the tune. It stuck within that mid-range and filled in the niche left without the leads or anything like that really sweetly. And I think the strings as well, with their warmth and a bit of sharpness with their tones occasionally, with some of the fluctuations they had as they bowed, was neat. You know, we had a lot of different instruments here performing different sections. We also had some synth parts as well, which sounded spacey and trippy and atmospheric, and they were quite engaging, to be honest. I really appreciate a lot of the love that was put into this track by the various instrumentalists there. Again, if you want to listen to the entire track, the whole 7 minutes 48, I'd recommend you go to the YouTube and social medias and listen to it without me talking over it or interrupting, as that's kind of the point of these reviews, is to show people new music and kind of get your thoughts on it. But if we step away from that a moment and just look at things from a more sort of like balanced perspective, outside of the instrumental performance, we had a lovely chemistry between the various members within this operation. It was just really mixed and remastered and recorded well. The studio production was tight. Everything had a place within the stereo field and the frequency spectrum. There were no resonant frequencies. Things were generally built and EQ'd well. They stayed within their lane. They didn't argue with each other. Nothing sounded muddy or out of place or like a stick in the mud. The drums and the bass in particular, they were dynamic, but they were also forceful in that low end there, just to keep things nice and kind of like huge sounding. All the other lead elements, like the guitars or the strings or the brass or whatever else we had there, kind of danced around in the middle and on top. It was a lovely layering process there, not only from a compositional perspective, but also from a studio one. In terms of the production, but it was also that we had dynamic range. Things came down sometimes, didn't everything the same perceived loudness. It's nice, it makes things more interesting when you go on that journey there, especially with the amount of smoothness there was here, with very few absolute pauses. It was just A to B, constant, you know. There was no chill, no stopping. Finally, with that dynamic range in mind, and with a really competent performances all around, we simply just have the fact that it is nice and loud without pumping, so limiting compression was handled well. I mean, effectively, this is my review of this track by Lloyd 𝐒𝐤𝐚, titled Journey. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show us some love via the various social medias and a YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the great stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spider Hands out.